My name is Paige, 28 years old. I work at a small hospital as a registered dietitian. Ever since I was a little kid, I loved to eat, and as I got older, I wanted to be able to eat things that were properly nutritious. So I got my certification as a registered dietitian. You may not think of hospital food as being delicious, but I am very particular about cooking food that is both healthy and delicious, and so the food at the hospital where I'm working has been highly rated. It's difficult to think of a menu every day, but when the patients tell me that it tasted good, it gives me more motivation to work hard. I feel purpose in my work, and 3 months ago, I also just got married, so my life is full of roses right now, is what I would like to say, but unfortunately, life isn't that sweet. My husband Henry is 2 years older than me, and he's a salaryman. We met because we used to work at the same company. He's 5'11" and weighs just over 200 pounds. He is on the heavier side and works in a medical office. Because he's always smiling, everybody in the office loves him. The older ladies that work part-time as cooks has said to me, "You should change Henry with your cooking." I got on board, and because I wanted to help as a registered dietitian, that was why I approached him first. Henry loved to eat, so it didn't take long for us to get into a relationship. Even when I transferred to a different workplace, we continued to date, and then we got married. Before we got married, I had been cooking for him, but in just 6 months, and lost almost 10 pounds. For me, I was calculating for him to lose a little bit more weight, but the reason why the diet didn't go as planned, well, I found that out after we got married.
I'm so hungry. What's for dinner tonight?
For dinner tonight, chicken breast with leek sauce and coleslaw, and also miso soup full of vegetables. Before we got married, he would get really excited saying, "That looks so delicious, can't wait to eat it." Nowadays, he'll let out a big sigh and he'll eat with one elbow on the table.
Wow, you forgot to add any flavor again today.
Oh, no. I definitely added plenty of flavor today as well. I do hold back on the salt and sugar, but I put black pepper on the chicken breasts, and the leeks have their natural flavor. So what should be plenty flavorful is just a pinch of salt.
And this miso soup doesn't taste like miso either. Now why did you put in this many vegetables?
Because there are a lot of vegetables in it, you can enjoy the umami from the vegetables.
Huh? Why don't you try it? Does it have flavor?
I took 1 spoonful of the miso soup. I can definitely taste the dashi and miso.
This tastes completely different from my mom's cooking. Blah! Tastes awful.
Excuse me? You're gonna bring up your mom again? My husband continues to bash my cooking, and he always compares it to my mother-in-law. Oh yeah, of course it's not going to be the same as my mother-in-law's cooking. Henry let out a deep sigh and he stood up to go to the kitchen. Then he came back to the table with soy sauce and salt in hand. "Henry, when you went for your last health check, there were a lot of red flags, weren't there? And you can change with your diet. We should try to apply for the sake of your health." I always try to convince him because I want to live a long life as husband and wife. But Henry refuses to listen to me.
Instead of having to eat terrible food and live long, isn't it much more fun to eat delicious things and have a short life?
As he said that, Henry dumped piles of salt on the chicken breasts, and he dumped soy sauce into the miso soup. And then he put spoonfuls of sugar into the coleslaw. Not only that, but drowned it in enough mayonnaise that you couldn't even see the cabbage anymore. My cooking I worked so hard on! To finish it off, after dinner, he went back to his room and started munching on giant bags of snacks, and then cup after cup of extremely sugary juice. And this was pretty much every day. Before we got married, Henry was putting on a face and saying that my cooking was delicious, but then after we got married, I've been tolerating it until now, but your cooking has no flavor whatsoever, and he was straight with me. The doctors are asking me to help him have a healthier diet, but there's nothing I can do with this. I need my husband to change his way of thinking. I came home exhausted after a long day of work, but then I saw something distasteful from the front door, and that was a pair of women's shoes in the doorway. Because I was so concerned about his diet, I didn't even think that about another woman. I snuck over to the bedroom and tried to take a photo for evidence, but they were gone. Could it be in the living room? There they are! In the living room was my husband and a woman whom I was very familiar with. And that woman was my mother-in-law. I didn't hear anything about her coming over, though. I'm home. I didn't know your mom was over, Henry. Oh my, am I not allowed here? Exactly, no you're not. But of course there's no way that I could say that.
My mom came all this way to make dinner for us.
What? Does that mean I have to eat my mother-in-law's cooking? There's no way I want to do that. Because...
And Paige, you need to make sure that you remember my mom's flavors.
What? But I definitely don't want to remember any of that.
Well then, it's ready in the kitchen, so please go and heat it up.
Yes, ma'am. I don't want to do this because out of any human being that I've met in this lifetime, my mother-in-law's cooking is the most terrible. All jokes aside, it's not anything that's edible. You say it's a matter of preference? Trust me, it's not like that at all. I walked over to the kitchen and checked the cooking. Instead of the pot, there was a mountain of something brown inside that I don't know what sheep stewed. On the plate, a mountain of fried chicken, and in the smaller pot, a really thick-looking miso soup with only seaweed floating on top. And on top of that, inside of the rice cooker, brown-colored rice. That's right, my mother-in-law would only cook food that had a monstrous amount of calories in it and were all brown. To the point where if I was going to my mother-in-law's cooking, that it would just be faster for me to drink a cup full of salt. I really wish I could adjust the flavors. Across the table is a pile of sodium and sugar and brown cooking. I can't do this. I don't want to eat this.
Well then, we need to put the finishing touch.
I forgot about this. It actually isn't over yet. And then my mother-in-law started shaking salt all over the fried chicken and almost emptied the container. That's right. My husband's salt performance was a straight copy from his mother. Ma'am, I think that's enough salt.
What are you saying? This is the secret to deliciousness.
At that rate, it's just chicken-flavored salt. Just as I thought, the salt performance was over. Next up, the mystery stew. She nearly poured out the rest of the soy sauce into it. There it is, the finishing soy sauce.
It's done. Looks delicious, doesn't it? Go ahead and eat.
But where's the food?
So good! Whew. This is why my mom's cooking is the best in the world.
As he said that, Henry picked up the salt once again and added even more salt, soy sauce on top of that mayonnaise and ketchup. He was adding sugar and grated cheese. Any condiment that he could find, he was dumping into the food.
Henry, looks like you've lost some weight. Is Paige's cooking that terrible?
Lost weight? What do you mean he lost weight? He's actually growing.
That's right, Mom! I can't believe I married a woman that doesn't know how to cook. Not only is the food terrible, there's nothing to look forward to every day.
What did you just say? Even though every single day after day you bash my cooking, I'm still making you every meal with your health in mind. I'm the one that has nothing to look forward to.
Come on, Paige. You need to make sure you eat and learn these flavors from my cooking.
I don't wanna. But I didn't need to worry. The two of them completely forgot that the main goal was for me to learn my mom's flavors, and they both finished all the brown cooking themselves. After all of that, I was worried about my husband for taking him so much sodium in one meal. So after my mother-in-law left, I suggested that he have a kiwi and green tea, both very high in potassium. When you take in too much sodium, it's good to take foods that are high in potassium and therefore good at breaking down the sodium. Of course, the best thing to do would be to not taking in so much sodium though. Just as I thought, Henry ate that up. Then he turned to the fridge and took out a big bottle of soda. Hey, don't you think that maybe for today you shouldn't have that?
Huh?
You already ate a lot today, so let's hold off for today. Also hold off on having my pudding too.
What the hell? Don't say it like I'm eating too much.
You're not like eating too much, you are eating too much. But even if I say that, he was only going to get even more angry. So I needed to try to stay as calm as possible. As calm. But don't you want to fix some of the things before your next health checkup? If you have to go for another secondary check, that's going to be a chore, isn't it?
Shut up! At least I'm gonna eat what I want to eat at home.
Funny for you to say, when I know you have a huge stash of snacks at your work desk. And not only that, but I also know that you say that my lunch boxes aren't enough and you go to the nearest store and buy even more snacks. But I'm just worried about your health.
Shut up! Just because you're a little bit skinnier than I am, who do you think you are?
Excuse me, I only weigh less than half of what you weigh.
If you're not going to let me eat anything that tastes good, I can't stay in this house.
Hey! And then Henry took the soda bottle that was in his hand and he threw it at the kitchen cabinets. It made a huge noise along with the sound of crashing plates. But then my husband took my spice tray and threw it onto the ground.
You don't need any of these!
Stop it, Henry! Henry refused to listen to me when I tried to get him to stop, and after throwing a huge tantrum, he was out of breath. He grabbed his snacks and his juice and disappeared. I was left alone staring at the disaster in my precious kitchen, and I was stunned. All I wanted was for Henry to stay healthy. All I wanted was for us to enjoy getting old together. But at this rate, there's no way that I can continue to live with Henry like this. When my precious kitchen was destroyed like that, I finally gave in, and I realized that I reached my limit. I could hear Henry laughing at the TV behind me as I took myself and the clothes on my back to my parents' house. But you know what? I hadn't forgotten the most important thing, and that was my cell phone that had been recording the whole time. Of course I needed it in order to get in contact with people, but actually when I realized that my mother-in-law was at home, I had a bad feeling, and I had been keeping the camera rolling, and in that footage was a crystal clear video of Henry throwing the tantrum in the kitchen. The moment I saw that, I felt even more confident while getting a divorce. That with this evidence in hand, I can get him to pay a settlement fee and I can get a divorce. Of course, Henry and his mother were furious and against the divorce. They tried to argue with the lawyer, but when he mentioned suing them for the damages, they quietly obliged to paying the settlement fee. And so this was how my marriage to this brown food, salt, sugar loving husband ended. 3 years later, I changed jobs and I was enjoying this new chapter of my life. And the food at my new workplace was going great. I explained to the hospitalized patient about the importance of their diet, and I gave them advice about their food. Just as I was on my way back from a patient to the office, a man I'd never seen before spoke to me.
Paige? Is that you, Paige?
What? That voice was definitely that of my ex-husband, Henry. However, I didn't see half of what was his previously large body anywhere. There was a completely different skinny man standing in front of me.
You remembered me!
Hey, wait! The slender man had his arms wide open as he was excited about this reunion, but I stopped him with a finger to the forehead and he wobbled backwards. So weak.
Paige, let's start over. You and me.
Excuse me? What the hell is this guy saying?
I promise I will tolerate your cooking, so please come back. Please marry me again.
Excuse me? You'll tolerate it? Who do you think you are?
This is fate, that we're seeing each other like this. You and I are connected by the red thread of fate. 3 years ago, you and I had no choice but to separate, and instead of going back and forth any further, the universe thought that you and I shouldn't see each other until you had a change of heart.
That line sounds familiar.
That was the promise we made, wasn't it? And so the two of us got divorced, but our hearts were always tied together by that red thread. And that's why we were able to meet again. Please don't cry. Today is the day of our 3-year anniversary, so let's celebrate. The thread that never let go for 3 years.
I knew it! That's just a fairy tale. But the story's completely wrong, and I'm not crying. And what 3-year anniversary is he talking about, huh? 3 years since we got divorced? But today isn't the day that we got divorced anyway. What thread are you talking about? Get lost! Don't cry, you say? Why don't you tell me where you see any tears coming out of my eyes?
Henry, my exam is over.
And then that was when my mother-in-law appeared being pushed around in a wheelchair by the nurse. But my mother-in-law had actually gotten even larger than before and barely fit in the wheelchair. I see. Looks like these two are having a hard time.
That woman! You're the woman that threw my Henry away.
Oh dear, looks like she's angry. Yes, that's me. I'm the one that threw your Henry away. That's me, Paige.
Ugh, but because of you, our lives are a disaster. Henry's depressed and lost his appetite, and now he can only eat 1 pot of rice for dinner.
1 pot? How many pots was he eating when he was at his best?
There's no point saying that you want Henry back now.
What is she saying?
Mom, what are you saying? If Paige comes back, then we don't need to cook anymore, and I can leave all of your nursing to Paige.
Whoa, so the only reason why you want to get remarried is to be your live-in nurse?
As if I could eat this woman's cooking. And I don't want to leave my nursing to anyone besides you, my son.
Oh, well done, ex-mother-in-law.
What the hell are you saying? Because I have to nurse you, my body's broken down, and I even got fired from my job.
Wow, so you're unemployed, which must mean...
But as long as we're with the registered dietitian, we don't have to worry about work or income. If I can leave your nursing and our living expenses to Paige, then everything is easy.
Yep, I knew it. You were just after me because he needed the money.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
It does not make sense.
Even though your cooking is terrible, I can eat it as long as I pour some soy sauce or mayonnaise on it. So just let me do that. Look at me. Because of having to nurse my mom, I've lost all of my weight. I'm reaching my limit.
That's true. You do look like you're on the edge.
What are you saying? You lost weight because of your devastation from this woman.
I don't think that's true.
I lost all of this weight because I had to take care of you and how big you've gotten.
I don't think that's true either. Watching these two argue, who used to be so obsessed with each other, was so pathetic. Maybe this is time for me to give them the good news.
And first of all, Mom, if only you had it.
That's enough! Shut up!
Huh?
This is a hospital, so be quiet. You seem to be throwing around the blame for why you got so skinny, but why don't I give you the real answer? It looks like you're finally having to pay for all that sugar and salt that you're putting out to your heart's content.
What does that mean?
It means that you are completely and definitely sick. That's also not something that you're just started now. You must have issues with your taste buds ever since you were a small child. If you grew up in a household that would go through 1 liter of soy sauce in a week, I'm sure any cooking anywhere is going to taste flavorless.
What are you saying? It just means that you were a wife that didn't know how to cook.
Excuse me? So you're telling me that just because I cook with less sodium for your health, I can't cook? As a genius registered dietitian, it's almost amazing that you can say that to my face. Your salt performances and all of your added condiments, they were all destroying your body with single meals. Do you still not understand that? Your body is made of what you eat. There are some diseases that can't be avoided, but there are diseases that can be avoided by diet and care. Just because there's not much flavor, you think it's okay to just pour soy sauce on it? Huh? Almost the people who cooked it says that pouring a little bit of soy sauce will make it taste better, and you shouldn't be touching any other condiments.
Yes, ma'am.
You're just the daughter-in-law. Who do you think you are?
Excuse me? I graduated from being your daughter-in-law 3 years ago. That is, after receiving a full settlement fee.
Ugh, you're a woman that keeps running her mouth. Is that how you speak to your elders?
There's actually a lot more that I wish I could say to you, but I guess I'll leave it at that. Otherwise, the police might come.
What did you say?
But if I'm going to say this without fearing your misunderstanding, you're the parent, so it is your responsibility to make sure that your child is leading a healthy lifestyle through the food that you provide. For leaving such a young child with such a messed up sense of taste is quite the heavy crime, is probably what I would say.
Excuse you, what did you say? Are you trying to say that this is all my fault?
Yes, I'm not trying to say, I am saying that this is completely your fault.
See? So it's your fault, Mom.
Don't get carried away. You also have responsibility as an adult that didn't even try to change at all.
All I wanted to do was to let my son eat delicious food.
And this is the result of letting him eat however much delicious food as he wanted. I know that you're really struggling with your lifestyle-related illness right now, and I don't want to say this, but your husband passed away a few years ago suddenly, didn't he?
Are you trying to say that it was because of my cooking? And plus, this is not a lifestyle-related illness. Don't get it twisted.
Excuse me? Does she really think that that lie is going to go through? Do you know where we are right now?
What?
This is the hospital ward for the treatment of lifestyle-related diseases.
What? Ugh.
Henry, I really think you need to get tested in regards to your sudden weight loss, and that you should really take a look at your diet.
Paige, all right. I promise I'll have a more healthy diet, so please, help me, support me!
Henry, of course I'll support you.
So does that mean?
There's somebody that I want you to meet. I picked up my phone and called a certain person, and that person came flying over in a matter of seconds.
What?
And that person was this doctor, Mr. Oliver.
This is concerning. I'm gonna need to run immediate testing.
Paige?
There's no way that I'm gonna leave a patient that has such a terrible diet, so make sure that you get fully tested by this doctor right here.
What? I thought you were going to get remarried to me!
Remarried?
Oh dear, perhaps he has a bit of a misunderstanding. In regards to getting remarried, I already have, so no need to worry about that. I'm sure my dear husband will lead you on your path to health.
What? Your husband?
As Paige's husband and the resident doctor, I will take responsibility for your health and care for you.
No, wait a minute! Please, Paige!
Quiet inside of the hospital. Well then, let's push the wheelchair into the exam room. I'll make sure to do thorough examinations for both of you.
Oh, I already finished mine.
I'm not sick!
After that, beginning with diabetes, Henry had all kinds of illnesses progressing in his body, and he was taken into another hospital for treatment. Well, maybe it was better for him that they were all discovered in early stages. Henry's mother was going to be hospitalized for a while, and Henry apparently found a part-time job and is working while receiving treatment. They often say that the only time you can eat and drink whatever you want is when you're young, but that can actually lead to a very different future for you. That's why I think it's best to take a good look at your diet starting when you're young. As for me, I'm going to continue thinking about my health with my husband, who's a doctor. And not only with her diet, but on our days off we play sports or do some exercise. My life is really fulfilling.
I'm going for training in Los Angeles next week. But do you want to come?
Los Angeles? I want to go! It's the hottest city in the country, Los Angeles!
What? Really? I didn't know that you liked Los Angeles that much. Do you want to go to Universal Studios?
No, I had my eyes set on a specialty pudding store. My friend told me recently that a super popular specialty pudding store was open in Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure it was called My Pudding Cafe.
What? You want to go all the way to Los Angeles for pudding?
Yeah, is that not okay?
Of course it is. It's very you, Paige.
Well then, in order to eat a lot of pudding, I need to start getting myself ready from today.
Me too?
Of course. I want to continue eating delicious things for as long as we can together as husband and wife. I can't wait for my pudding vacation in Los Angeles.
Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!